I did go on to attempt to go to a private school to become a physical therapy technician, and I dropped out for non-academic reasons, which I don't want to go into right now, because that's you know, because right now I want to stay focused on talking about the academic issues, how to succeed academically. You know, because by the time that I went to the Kerrigan, I basically, I'd been diagnosed with autism for 5 years, and I finally had an understanding, and I had a game plan that I believed in, and so I started in school, and some of my game plan did not work out nearly as well as I had hoped, while other things that I assumed would never work was actually rather effective. Particularly, one of my strategies was to record audioly, all the presentations, and make that the basis for my study, is replaying it over and over again, which is a nice theory. But the reality is, I really didn't spend as much time listening to it over and over again as I anticipated, but one of the things that really did help me is, my friend Jon, suggested making flashcards. Well, that ties into reading, which is cumbersome for me. It's not that I'm illiterate, it's that I'm also a slow reader, slow writer. Everything having to do with literacy, I'm slow at, okay? And so, anyway, so, but nevertheless, so he gave me the suggestion, and also executive functioning as far as organizational, just keeping track of the flashcards, okay? Those who have seen my personal living conditions, and Beth is nodding her head yes, she has seen my personal living conditions, and so has Jon, he's now giggling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am not organized, okay? And that is very typical of a lot of autistic Aspies that, yeah, I'm guilty as charged as that. And so the idea of having stacks and stacks of these flashcards to keep track of, it's like, I don't keep track of the stuff that I already have. But he suggested that I go on Google Play to find a flashcard app. And so I okay, I'll try that, and I found one, and I started using it, and it actually worked, because one of the things that I had to do is I had to verbalize. I would be reading them out loud as I was typing them in, and verbalization is one of the things that does help me learn. It helps me focus on what I'm doing, and as I was typing them in, I'm having to concentrate on what I'm typing, and I'm saying them out loud, and it better help me absorb the information. And so the idea of flashcards, which I first scoffed at, but once I was starting to have some trouble, some of my ideas weren't working, it's like, okay, I'll give them a try, and doing it on my smart device, to where I can also download it onto my laptop, which that's actually what I use to type them in, is on my laptop, because I have a full keyboard, and big hands like big keyboards, and so but then I can then download them onto my tablet, smartphone, any smart device, and so what it also made it possible for me to do is a number of my classmates had spouses, children, and jobs. Some of them had all three, okay? And so a lot of them didn't have time to do their own flashcards, okay? So the deal that I made with one of my classmates, okay, she would take the notes for me during class. I would convert them into flashcards for both of us to use, okay? And so so basically, instead of me just simply leeching off of my classmates, oh, please do my work for me, I made an arrangement where they help me and I help them back. And so, and if it wasn't for the non-academic issues, which I'm not going to go into at this point, I might have been able to be successful at Kerrigan. Nevertheless, so I have devised a new strategy as far as going to Gateway, or not Gateway, that's Glendale Community College. Yeah, Gateway is right around the corner here. But anyways, Glendale Community College, and basically, in doing what I was naturally born to do, which is teaching, okay? One of the things I'm wanting to do, and I'm going to be talking to Voc Rehab about this, I want to start a consulting business to consult with people about autism, but before I can do that, I need to have some kind of a degree that would make me a credible source of information, and I can employ other autistics who go and get degrees that are relevant for autism, and then we can go and we can consult with people about autism related issues, whether the schools, workplace. What had actually got me started with wanting to be a physical therapy tech is that I got tendonitis in my right shoulder, and so I went for physical therapy, and there was another autistic young man. He was in high school, and he was undoubtedly lower functioning than myself, and the staff there was a bit, I think the word would be intimidated. Oh, he has autism. We're not really trained in autism, and so they were a little bit intimidated, as far as being afraid that, what if we set him up by doing this? And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to become a physical therapy tech, is to basically give people the information so they're not afraid to work with autistics. Because you really don't need. There are a few autistics that do have extreme, issues, and I do acknowledge that, but you don't have to be afraid. Actually, that the 4 autistics in this room right now, officially diagnosed autistics in this room right now, I have known for 5 years. Actually, John for 4 years. But anyways, none of them engage in have any kind of issues where you need to be afraid, that they're all of a sudden going to have a meltdown. It's not to say that we don't have our bad days, but at the same time, you don't need to be afraid of us, okay? And our autism / Asperger / whatever label you want to, use isn't that severe where we're just going to be set off for some unexplainable reason. Were you wanting to contribute something? Oh, okay. I thought you were, raising your hand. Anyways, and with that, I'm going to pass it to one of the other 3, if you'd like to talk in more detail about your challenges in school. Okay, Sam. Mm-hmm. Sam, you am?
Yes, Sam I am. No, I do not like green eggs and ham. No, I do not like them with a sauce. No, I do not like them in a box. I know that very well because I used to get that all the time in school. Okay. I actually went to school in the 80s. Started school in the 80s. My parents automatically knew something was different about me, mm-hmm. right from the very beginning. And they tried very hard to get me into special ed, but then the special ed people would tell them, no, your son is too functioning, his grades are too high to qualify for a program, but they knew my grades were never as high as they could have been. In order to get anything from the school, my mom had to go down to the district offices and threaten to get a lawyer on them. And then at that, all they got me was special ed PE. So they pulled me out for about 15-20 minutes, and I could pull out like one fellow classmate. I'd be like, who wants to come with me? And everybody would raise their hands. Okay, I could do one, and then I'd choose one person. Because we all know how much kids love their school. Mm-hmm. Right, that's sarcasm for those of you who don't know. And I went on into, but as I grew, I guess the stress of everyday living was high. And I first found myself wanting to commit suicide at the age of 10, which I found myself, that's, I think, is what prompted me to go to what would then be my counselor throughout the rest of the days I was in public school. We were noticing what appeared to be motor tics and verbal tics and different signs of Tourette's at that time. Plus also, but I would never fully qualify for a diagnosis. And then I was also showing other things that were considered signs of or symptoms of obsessive compulsive disorder and ADHD. And over time, and obviously depression. And over time, it's like they talked me out of that, and then went off into 12 years old. I'm switching schools, and that did not go well. I found myself really having to talk over that much heavier at the age of 12. I would say that fortunately that, I think that was the one time that I brought my homeroom school teacher to tears. Who is otherwise normally a very tough woman, as I remember. And then, I would go on and throughout school, I never had close friends. And I think part of what contributed to this problem was that my family, we believed in this concept that everybody should pass themselves as normal. I mean, my parents grew up in the 50s. That's what they had. That's what they had to deal with. I've known people who as late as the 80s, I've had chances to talk to people who as late as the 80s, they weren't normal enough, they got institutionalized. And so there was always the pressure that I should behave as a normal kid, even though I never was. And so I could never understand why it was, I kept trying to get along with the popular kids, make friends with everybody, and can never really understand why I would be shunned. At the age of 14, I remember having to deal with some very, very snobby, and I guess I never figured out that I should just go be with somebody else. I'd turn my back and my lunch would be on the concrete. Like somebody just sort of took it and threw it. And the way those guys treated me had me so depressed. I was trying to cut my neck like you would a piece of paper. Because I did not understand that. And then I get this, and then at home I'd be yelled at for simple things, stupid things half the time, and I did not understand not to internalize this a lot of times. At the age of 16, I found myself dealing with a first-year teacher where my family kept trying to interject and ask for accommodations that I think both of us knew were not necessarily right. In many cases, for example, like the accommodations they get from the school would be where I tape record the lectures, and then I'd have to go home and listen to hours of because those microphones, they were never very good. And those teachers would wander around. And I remember one time in college trying to follow the teacher until finally I got yelled at to cut it out. And I remember that time the stress got so bad that I took a steak knife and I tried to cut my wrist open. It was just like I couldn't bear it. Fortunately, I tried the wrong side. So didn't really do it really didn't do anything other than a small cut. But it was enough to get everybody kind of alarmed. I mean, I was called in my counselor's office. My regular counselor was calling me to check up on me. And they had to really counsel me and help me get through it. And so I go on and I graduated. Fortunately,